Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 6 of college football was much better than Week 5, as I predicted. We had 6 teams in the top 25 lose, tons of thrilling games like that Florida-LSU game. That missed extra point ended up being costly for Florida as LSU got a key road win, winning that game 17-16. The biggest upsets of the day had to have been Iowa State's upset over number 3 Oklahoma on the road with a brand new quarterback who was playing both ways. Quarterback on offense, I believe he was playing a linebacker on defense. That was amazing. Also, Michigan State's road win over number 7 Michigan, a huge rivalry game there. That was insane. They were able to go on the road and defeat the Wolverines. So those were definitely two of the biggest. A lot of the other ones were great games, but some of those teams that were ranked that lost were in ranked versus ranked matchups. So it wasn't that big of a deal, wasn't that big of an upset. But now it's time to recap Week 6. We're going to see how I did on my predictions, and then I'm going to give my my teams that I thought have been the biggest disappointments and the biggest surprises so far this season. So this was definitely not my best week statistically. 18-13, 31 games. So it's a 58% winning percentage. Definitely not our best week in Week 6. This was kind of the week when I look back at the games. It was kind of my upset week. I am aware that I did miss some of the crazier games that I picked, such as Georgia and Vanderbilt or Northwestern over Penn State. Look at some of those games like that. I think I picked Boston College over Virginia Tech. Back in the summer, I was looking at those and I thought, hey, this could happen. Obviously, I did not change these picks. I was trying not to change them up until this point. So, yes, I'm aware I missed those. It happens. It's all right. So, 18-13, definitely not the best week, but not horrible. That brings our overall record to 220-58, which drops the winning percentage down to 79%. Still not bad through one half of the season, not at all. So, disappointments, I'll just run through those real quick. These are the guys that had somewhat high expectations, or maybe we're going to go to a bowl game, and they've really just disappointed all of us this season. I'll start with Northwestern. I put them on my trending down a couple times this year already. They were a team that a lot of people, including myself, thought could challenge some people in the Big Ten, could be kind of a dark horse candidate. They had a very experienced offense and not a bad defense, but right now they're 2-3, haven't looked impressive one bit. And they've been a huge disappointment, so they'll be lucky if they can manage to get to a bowl game, which I'm sure they will, get around 6 or 7 wins, but definitely not the season people were hoping for. And then North Carolina is another team. I said I put them on my trending down before. They're 1-5. I had them going 6-6, so they've just really, really collapsed this year. It's been a horrible year for the Tar Heels, so they need to be looking forward to basketball season. And BYU was a lot of team. This is a team that people got really mad at me about for saying they were going to go 9-4. Which isn't going to happen now. They're going to be worse than 9-4. They're 1-5, and it's just been a horrible year for BYU. They can't generate any offense whatsoever. So people were freaking out when I said they were going to go 9-4. They thought they were going to go 11-2 or undefeated or 10-11 wins. And I knew that was absurd when they were saying that because they had a very tough schedule up front with the games against LSU, Utah, and Wisconsin. But this has been a horrible year for BYU. I think it was a shocker for everybody. So they're definitely a huge disappointment this season. And LSU, even though they got that win over Florida in the Swamp yesterday, I put them on my disappointment list because LSU is a team that always has high standards, especially in this SEC West. And I know they were hoping to contend with Alabama, be the second best team in the West. They already are down to 2 losses with a horrible loss to Mississippi State and then the shocker to Troy. Yes, they got the key win over Florida, but they still have a game this next week against Auburn, and then they still have that date against Alabama. And Texas A&M as well. They gave Alabama a fight, so they could give LSU a fight as well. So if they lose the Auburn-Alabama game or just lose 2 of those games, they're already down to 4 losses, which is definitely a disappointment down in Death Valley. I know they'll be pretty disappointed with 4 losses in Edo's first year as head coach. And then Florida State, even though they lost to Andre Francois, I think a lot of people thought they would be able to turn things around, still maintain that powerhouse reputation that they have in the ACC, and they haven't been able to do that. They're down to 1-3. And DeAndre Francois, I think, is a big reason for why they are 1-3. I know one player does not define one team, but as I've said before, a quarterback loss really, really does hurt your chances. They lost in dramatic fashion to Miami this week, snapping that 7-game winning streak against the Hurricanes. So they've been a huge disappointment in the ACC, and they'll probably be lucky to get to a bowl themselves, sitting at 1-3. Over here on surprises, I put TCU because I did have them improving from that 6-7 record last year. I had them going 9-3. But I did not expect them to go on the road and defeat Oklahoma State. This past game when they faced West Virginia, that was a thriller. I believe they won that one 31-24. And they're looking like prime college football playoff contenders right now. Offense is looking solid. The defense is looking great, as we all expected. So they've really surprised me this year. And if they don't slip up anywhere down the road, they still have that date against Oklahoma, which just lost to Iowa State. They still have a date against them. That'll be tough. But if they don't slip up anywhere up down the road, they have that Big 12 championship game, they could be looking at college football playoff berth. Washington State, another team that I had going 9-3. I expect them to do extremely well. Had a very experienced offense and defense. I did predict the win over USC correct. I missed the one last week. I thought they would lose on the road at Oregon. That was also before I was aware of the Justin Herbert injury and Royce Freeman. But huge win for Washington State at Oregon. They're undefeated. And same thing with TCU. If they can run the table to the end of the season when they face Washington in the Apple Cup, if they can win that one and win the Pac-12 championship, maybe with one loss in there somewhere, they could still be looking at a college football playoff berth. So keep an eye on the Cougars. They're extremely dangerous. And North Carolina State, sitting at 5-1, haven't lost since that opening game loss to South Carolina, neutral site game. And you know, North Carolina State is looking extremely good right now. They've already beaten Florida State. They've already beaten Louisville. Their biggest game left this season is Clemson. They do have to face Notre Dame, but if they can split that series or win both of them, they're definitely looking like playoff contenders too, assuming they can win the ACC. But those are the two biggest games. Everybody else they should be able to take care of. But Clemson and Notre Dame, like I said, they can split that. They're looking at least New Year's 6 bowl berth, if not college football playoff, especially if they can win the ACC championship, assuming they get there. But it's looking really good for the Wolfpack right now. And then my last team under surprises was Notre Dame, a team that people didn't have a lot of faith in. They said, hey, they went 4-8 last year. They're not going to be any better this year. But I said, no, I think they're going to be pretty solid. I think I had them going 9-3. I actually think I had all these guys going 9-3 in my preseason predictions. Notre Dame still has very tough games against USC and Miami left on the schedule. But like I said, with North Carolina State, if they can split those or win both, they're definitely looking at playoff or New Year's 6 bowl berth as well. So Notre Dame has been a major surprise team. Brandon Wimbush, a quarterback, has done a great job. I know he was injured in this past game, but he's done extremely well there. So this is what, at the halfway point, this is what we're looking at. These are the disappointments and the surprises. Not a horrible record considering I did all these predictions back in the summer. So we're looking pretty good. I'm ready for the second half of the season. It's probably going to be better than this one. Tension's going to be riding high for a lot of these teams, especially as we get into November, as we kind of see the college football playoffs shape up. We'll know our big contenders. We got Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, Washington, all those guys that are going to really be trying to get into that top 4 spot. So the conference play is going to get a lot more dramatic, a lot tougher for these teams, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. And please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.